Oh, g'day. Peter Rayburn here. I'm a former, very proud 20-year Rockhampton resident and moved to the Gold Coast in 2015 after raising our children here in Rockhampton. And life throws us curveballs occasionally. And approximately 8 or so years ago, my wife Claire was diagnosed with a form of rare ovarian cancer and recently retired. And I thought we've got to raise some money to support research into rare ovarian cancer, because there's virtually nothing done at a world level to understand the treatment and prevention of rare ovarian cancer. So with my love of cycling and willingness to step up and both ride and organising this event, I reached out to some friends to see if they'd be willing to join me on a 9-day, 900-kilometre ride from Parliament House in Canberra to the MCG in Melbourne, which we're doing with 12 riders, myself and 11 other riders. And I'm very pleased to have two of our riders here joining us here today. Mike Dalton, a long-time friend and a very strong Ironman in his day. And Mike, welcome to the ride.
Thank you, Peter.
And just sort of a little bit on yourself, Mike, and why you've decided to take on the ride.
Well, the reason why I decided to take on the ride, Peter spoke to me about the ride approximately 2 years ago, and his vision in terms of raising awareness for rare ovarian cancer, plus also raising much needed funds for vital research. And I was on board straight away. I think it's a very worthwhile cause, and our aim is twofold: to raise awareness right across the public spectrum and into the political arena as well. And we want to raise $100,000 for rare ovarian cancer research, one of the first research initiatives to be undertaken in the world. And at this point in time, we've raised $72,000 towards that. So each of the riders have contributed in their own way to this fundraising, and uniquely as a group, we are very firmly focused on the outcome, which is the cause for rare ovarian cancer. And at the end of the day, we want to help females with this condition to be able to survive this condition, and also to, as a result of the research, when it's over, we know that we will have better treatment options and much more considered intervention strategies.
Thank you so much, Mike, and personal thanks for being so engaged with the project and the fundraising. It means a hell of a lot to both my wife Claire and I. And Leanne, great to have Leanne on board. We've known Leanne for quite a few years, and she, for me, is one of the real heroes of the 12 riders that are doing it. Doesn't come from an athletic background, but I can tell you, I rode with Leanne this morning and she is very strong. She's done an enormous amount of work with her husband Dale in terms of training. So it's just fantastic, Leanne, to have you on board. And sort of a little bit about yourself and why you're stepping up to join us on the ride.
Well, I heard about this wonderful cause helping to raise funds for rare ovarian cancer. I think it was through Facebook. I saw Peter reaching out to try and get female riders, and I wasn't overly sure, but Peter reassured me, and I just had to do it. Just have to raise awareness for this wonderful cause. As Peter and Claire, we're our old neighbours for quite a long time, and our children grew up together, and it just struck a chord in my heart. I just wanted to help out.
And it's it's fantastic. We wanted females involved because this is a female disease. As many people know, my wife Claire is the oldest woman in Australia to be diagnosed with it. It's very a rare cancer, particularly in older women. And we've also, both Claire and I, have been touched by a girl who's now 8 years of age, a young girl called Neve, and she was diagnosed at age 11 months with a softball-sized tumour in her abdomen. And one of the reasons we're doing the ride is not only for treatment and prevention longer term, but it's particularly for the future generations of young females of all ages. And that's the thing about ovarian cancer. And Mike, I know you've done a fair bit of research on the facts and figures around rare ovarian cancer.
Yeah, I have, Pete, and it's quite surprising, and it's quite concerning. If you look at the 5-year survival rates for rare ovarian cancer of 47%, versus the 5-year survival rates for breast cancer, which are around approximately 90%. So there's a big disparity there, and there's a lot of unknowns with rare ovarian cancer. And the thing about rare ovarian cancer is that some of the symptoms, as you see on the back there on the wings of awareness, they can be confused with other ailments. So that's why we need the research, because not only does it need to be targeted, but we need to be able to identify what is actually happening in the rare ovarian cancer space, and particularly with the cancer itself, which is actually called juvenile granulosa cell tumour, or what we refer to as GCT, granulosa cell tumours. And that's the focus and the nucleus of the study that is currently happening at the Hudson Institute in Melbourne. So you're right, Pete, we need to get that research happening, and also we need to understand this disease that can afflict females of any age. So that's where we're on about.
I agree, Mike, and we're very fortunate that one of the key world-renowned researchers in the JGCT area is a gentleman called Dr. Simon Chu. And Simon is actually joining us. He's going to be one of the other 4 male riders joining us, and it just gives us so much credibility having the world-leading researcher aware of the importance of raising awareness and funds for research. And we'll be donating our funds directly to the Hudson Institute for Medical Research, who are hosting a luncheon for us, a fundraising luncheon on the day that we finish our ride. And Leanne, sort of from a female perspective, you've now aware of the signs and symptoms of them. And I remember you saying a comment that, gee, a lot of older women suffer from these symptoms.
That's right, and they just write it off as something that you put up with or have had, but you really should go and investigate.
Have a good chat with your GP.
Absolutely.
Around these signs and symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for listening to us and hopefully being a little bit more educated on why we're doing the ride and some of the signs and symptoms and issues around rare ovarian cancer.